All right. Welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time. We're here to talk about everything in terms of professional wrestling on the GSMC Sports Network. So make sure you tune into the show, tune into your favorite wrestling fan, and we can have some fun. All right, just kind of reflect on what we talked about right quick. We had our WWE NXT review. We had our AEW Dynamite preview. We also talked about our third segment about the New Day breaking up, heading toward a breakup, maybe some future storylines, maybe something that makes sense, something that WWE shouldn't do in terms of creative by booking, either Xavier Woods or Kofi Kingston. We talked about that. So make sure you check those videos out on YouTube. And we also recently talked about, WWE approaching contract negotiations differently, which is, the right thing to do. Definitely love it. Definitely respect that. They kind of respect the athletes and they're a little more empathetic now. So I think that's super cool. Now our fifth and final segment, something we do on every Wednesday. Give you guys my weekly Wednesday of wrestling and news. Yeah, we're gonna get into it. We're gonna talk about it. So yeah, let's go and talk about it, man. All right. So first and foremost, we got Samantha Irvin blacked out all of her social media accounts, the display and cover pages on Instagram and Twitter/X with dark blank images. Uh, you know, I wouldn't know why somebody would do this unless like maybe you're getting like some stalkers or something like that. Maybe you're getting some sketchy people because it's like all right. So just block them. But if you're constantly blocking people after inappropriate comments, it kind of gets a little troublesome. But then you're like, all right, then I'll just make an account. This girl just recently reached 1 million followers on her account. Like, what I mean? You think she wants to go ahead and just be like, oh, I'm just gonna start over. Like, what I mean? Like, of course she probably could. She can get those people back. She can get those people back 1,010% right off the bat. But I don't know. That's the only reason why I feel like it would kind of compel a person to ultimately do that. Usually when NFL players are upset with their contracts, they don't have anything of their teams on it. I doubt that's what she's doing with WWE. Trying to get another contract or trying to get or maybe she does follow the Ricochet to AEW, which I feel would be disastrous. That'd be terrible for WWE to lose Samantha Irving. But I have recently kind of noticed, and I'm not sure if it's because Michael Cole isn't on Raw anymore. Like they kind of put less emphasis on Samantha Irving announcing anymore, I guess. Like they don't really have the camera center angle like on her as much as they used to. So maybe there might be a little like, I don't know, maybe a little discrepancy there between I doubt there's any treatment issues or, once again, I'm not, Samantha Irving, so maybe I'm talking out of my arse here, but, anyways, like just, and, doing this kind of stuff, I can imagine like, something, something bad, like, you know what I mean? You do it for a reason. You do it for a reason. WWE NXT last night saw a viewership increase, and it was a great episode. Over 600,777. Damn it. 677,000 from that key demographic of 18 to 49 age range. Obviously, you had the Indiana Pacers player Tyrese Halliburton. You also had CM Punk. A lot of funny segments, a lot of intense moments and stuff like that. So there's honestly no surprise to me that this show did very, very well. I remember the moment I turned it off, I was like, damn, that was actually a pretty good episode of NXT. And I'm not saying that they don't produce good content or anything like that, but I don't know. It was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. Gotta give respect. Gotta give respect. All right, next we have The Rock meets up with the fan who turned his life around after embracing The Rock's health style and his fitness lifestyle as well. And he had this to say, and I quote, meeting people and hearing about the journeys of weight loss, mental health struggles, fitness, dealing with loss, anxiety, depression, hard times, etc. Moments like this is the best part of fame. That is awesome. Like that, not a lot of people probably think like that. Not a lot of stars embrace fans or, people who don't make as much money as you like that. You know what I mean? He's still down to earth. The Rock, all in all, he knows the best thing about society is us ultimately staying together. Like, you know what I mean? Some people do rely on like maybe like politicians more, be like, oh, they're gonna fix everything, they're gonna fix everything. And at the same time, the only thing that's gonna change the world is how we treat each other. And The Rock is definitely, he's like he's great. He's amazing. He's the most electrifying man in sports entertainment. I think The Rock should be president. Hells yeah, it kind of sucked that his Rock, Young Rock, I think it was. That wasn't Little Rock. No, Little Rock was no, never mind. think it was Young Rock. Young Rock, I kind of like that show. I thought it was pretty cool. But obviously that's not on the on the tube anymore. So gotta love The Rock for kind of doing something like this, and good for the fan. Sometimes when you go through stuff like that, you kind of have to change everything. Change everything, or you're gonna fall back into the same bad habits that you were before. So kind of crazy. Congratulations, that's dope. Next, we have a Tony Khan special. Aired. Well, is it aired on FS1 ahead of AEW's Dynamite tonight? Could that be a foreshadowing of them maybe having a deal with Fox? It could. Maybe it is. Maybe it doesn't. They recently trademarked AEW Shockwave, and I kind of mentioned that maybe they could, they can be in a spot, or maybe that perhaps they could, have it after football. Because after you have those, the afternoon slate of football end, you kind of want people to. Well, they have the animation domination kind of thing with like The Simpsons, Bob's Burgers, and Family Guy. But I don't know. It's crazy. It is crazy. 1,010% that this deal could possibly go through. So definitely respect Tony Khan as a businessman, and I can't wait to watch tonight's Dynamite. All right. So next we have Sexy Red, the hip hop sensation, is returning to NXT. I know recently she kind of had a little run in with bad PR, but what they were able to kind of see past it in the WWE, which I was surprised. I was honestly a little surprised that WWE was, well, it's not like it's like, oh, I'm so cool with it. I'm so cool with it. You know what I mean? But it was like, what, like she's young, young athletes, young performers, they do stupid stuff, like sometimes they post weird things on social media that could, they could beat as well. Like, or, but all in all, I kind of think it's better for NXT. It's good, especially on the first episode on the CW. It's going to get audience members. Like I said, that key demographic of 18 to 49 years old is obviously what it's all about, and something that WWE should definitely take advantage of, why they still kind of have a superstar like Sexy Red to kind of help, kind of get a different perspective, kind of draw in audience members that are new. So, anything helps, you know what I mean? Kind of beneficial. She's getting exposure, then she's getting people to watch WWE. So it's like a beneficial relationship, and I think I think it's pretty kick-ass. I think it's kind of cool. All right, next, Paul White brings attention about how Tony Khan paid him a crap ton of money, and he hasn't done a damn thing. Basically, he said he hasn't. Well, he used a different word that I can't say on the podcast. He said, he hasn't done anything. And Paul White wants to return to the ring. He's dying to return to the ring. So it's kind of cool. Him at an age like that, be like, hey man, I can still run with the boys. I can still, I can still hang with the rest. I, definitely love and respect that out of Paul White. And we're watching from the Big Show, like, well, the Big Show. Like it's cool. Like he was super badass. Definitely love that. Definitely love myself some Big Show, man. All right, next we have Joe Hendry files, several trademarks, and this is not really a surprise. This guy's going to be huge in TNA. He was getting noticed in TNA, so can't really be like, oh, the reason why he's at his full best is because he went to WWE NXT. I can't say that. I can't say that at all. Actually, I think it's quite the opposite. WWE NXT needed Joe Hendry, and then TNA needed NXT, and now TNA is doing great in their pay-per-view sellouts and their ticket sales. Also, they're doing great with their gates and their pay-per-view, and it's something that it's great. It's something that both of these promotions definitely needed at the time. You had a star-studded NXT. You had a TNA that was drawing about maybe like a crowd of like, I want to say like 5,000, 7,000 people. Like I watched TNA a little bit when I first started this podcast. Actually, I watched a little bit of the pay-per-views that they had on YouTube, and I was like, oh man, like it's not really ideal in terms of wrestling, but TNA's turning around. They're a new product. They're getting bigger. They're getting better. So gotta love and respect that. So gotta love Joe Hendry. I would file trademarks as well. You know what I mean? Be like, this guy's gonna be big. All right, next we have Kenny Omega is currently training to come back to AEW. Great sign, after his medical issue, I thought he was never going to wrestle again. Thank God I was wrong. And, definitely love and respect a guy like Kenny Omega, one of the best wrestlers to ever do it. Him, Kazuchika Okada, Will Ospreay. and a couple other New Japan professional wrestlers as well. They have a lot of matches on Dave Meltzer's, on the most stars list. Out of 5 stars, you get a 9.5, which is kind of crazy. Be like, how does that work out? But it is what it is, and it works. And I feel like Kenny Omega, in AEW, it just works. It just works. It makes sense, and it makes money. All right, then we have the WWE legend Rikishi requests prayers for his son Jimmy Uso, but it's been reported that Jimmy Uso is okay. So whatever, they're not going to dig into it too much because we'll probably receive more information, or we've already kind of got an update over. I haven't checked my phone during the show, so maybe we could have got something more of a good, health update for his son Jimmy. Hopefully he makes it back to WWE sooner rather than later. Definitely miss seeing him on the tube. And lastly, we have AEW Rampage could be canceled. It could be. Could be. It's not guaranteed. It's not guaranteed, although they do have, they have After Dark, they have Dynamite, they have Collision, and sometimes it's you can cut a loss for a show. You can cut a loss for a show if it means that you're going to have a show to replace it, like a Shockwave or something like that. Maybe that could be a huge reason why they're doing it. Like I said, there was a documentary on Tony Khan that was aired today before AEW Dynamite, so maybe that has like a foreshadowing for a show happening on Fox. Although it could happen, it could not happen. You know what I mean? Just gotta stay patient. I think it'd do wonders for AEW. I think that would be great. Kind of like would be kind of like not like a huge like in your face to WWE. But be like, I thought Fox was very beneficial for WWE. But on the USA Network, I think they did really well as well. So you can't really compare apples to oranges here. All right, so guys, thank you so much for tuning into my show. Hope you guys liked it. We got my boy Emran's GSMC Soccer Podcast happening in 21 minutes. So if you're a soccer fan, or if you're trying to get into soccer, make sure you tune into that. Yeah, make sure you follow us on Twitter/X, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook for more content and updates. Also, remember to Superman punch that like a subscribe button to the show. And if I haven't made you a wrestling fan quite just yet, we have a bunch of other shows. We have Nelson with the GSMC Basketball Podcast. We have Jeremy with Sports by GSMC, TJ with the GSMC Sports Podcast. We have 2 football podcasts, Manny with the Chip Shot Football Podcast, the GSMC Football Podcast hosted by Kenneth. So NFL's, it's in the mix. And what's in the mix is fantasy sports as well. We got my boy Chris Shepard with the GSMC Fantasy Sports Podcast as well. So make sure you tune into all those. They're all amazing podcasts. Or if you're a college football fan, Saturdays be popping sometimes, man. Them hits be echoing through all the stadiums. So make sure you tune into Tommy's podcast, the GSMC College Football Podcast. And we're definitely, the load of podcasters who have the same passion that you guys have for professional sports. So once again, thank you guys so much for tuning into my show. Stay beautiful, but most importantly, love you.